Greetings! On this week's episode, we have the genius artist, creator, and poet, SuperB.
What up?
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the celebration. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. As you can see, we got ourselves a guest.
Hello.
He goes by the name of SuperB.
Yep.
In my phone book, it looks like SuperB.
Yep.
Is that done on purpose?
It's on purpose. Okay. Double meaning. Yeah.
An amazing artist, creator, host, curator, genius. So we are in for a real expression treat here. You want to tell folks what's a little bit about you?
I am originally from Los Angeles, from Culver City, born and raised in Culver City, and then I moved to Montclair, did like junior high and high school over there, and I've been learning how to be an artist in that area. So they have their own little arts community. Pomona, there's a venue called Mike and Dim Lights, which kind of helped us start our venue. Me and my friends started a venue called Urbane Culture, and now we're still at it. I'm teaching poetry at the Ontario Montclair School District, and I work at CarMax part-time, make a little, get my 401k right, and then I'm over here hanging out with Tom.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and SuperB featured when I was running a youth open mic. He was our feature, so it's great to have you back. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So talk to me about why spoken word, why poetry?
Yeah, good question. It kind of found me, like all of us and like a lot of us. There's that thing that's sitting inside of us that it's clawing out and got my attention. The first time I saw spoken word was on a show called Night at the Apollo. You heard this show?
Mm-mm.
Night at the Apollo is like a variety talent show in New York at the Apollo Theater, and it's savage. Like if you suck, they kick you off, and it's like somebody brings a broom.
Oh, okay, I have heard of this. Heard it? So you saw it live or on TV?
On TV when I was when I was still living in LA, and it's normally not poetry. It's all singers, comedians, and all kinds of stuff. But the very first time I heard spoken word was on that show, and it just drew my attention. Did some research, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that probably for the rest of my life. So.
And how old were you?
At that time, I was like maybe 13.
13?
Yeah.
And so you started to write spoken word or poetry?
Yeah, I wrote my first poem maybe the next day.
Nice.
Yeah.
And when was the first time you memorized a poem and performed it memorized?
I think maybe I was 16.
16?
Yeah.
And how'd that feel?
I felt good. Yeah, I was 18. I remember I was working at a pretzel place at the mall, and I was saying the poem as I was rolling pretzels. Yeah. That's cool. And
you slam as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I'll be slamming it again on the 14th, in 2 weeks from now. I'll be at that, it's called the Katapunan Slam. It's like a Filipino bass slam. The Sunday Jump guys, they do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll be there. I'm still slamming, I guess. Yeah.
And why did you get into slam?
I think the culture kind of drew me in, just being around the people who I felt were good or seasoned. They all seemed to be leaning towards more like the competitive side, and it brought out, there's plenty of good and bad about the slam world, but at the moment when I started, it was bringing out something in me that I didn't know I had, and it definitely challenges you, and your network grows because this is like a huge community around the nation, and yeah, it felt good. Yeah.
Did you ever get to go to any regional or national slams?
Yeah, so we went to the I think it was 2010 and 11, the National Poetry Slam. The one was in Florida, and another one was in Minnesota, and we ended up getting second place.
What?
In the nation in the group slam finals, and then I took a team from Azusa Pacific out to New York, Cup C. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was cool.
So you said all of us have something within us.
Yeah, I believe that. You believe that?
I do.
Cool.
Why do you believe that?
Yeah, I don't think I've met a breathing human that didn't talk passionately about something, or at least expressed something that, if I spent a X amount of time with them, showed me something that, and it reflected art, and I don't think you have to, I believe in God and I'm a Christian, but I don't think you have to believe in God to know, that when you meet somebody, there's something divine. It's just not body and brain. I think there's a spirit in us that brings out this art or this passion. And I think, yeah, it's part of the reason I write, because I want to bring that thing out, whether it's writing or dance or music or, creativeness, whatever that looks like.
So what about folks who are feeling like they're hearing you and they've heard people say this their whole life,
right?
But they're like,
nah, I don't believe it.
No, they believe it. They believe it, but they just like have never felt where you said you watched the Apollo and you're like, that's me.
Right.
They haven't felt that yet, but they know it can happen. They just haven't felt it yet.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great question. I think the fastest way, if you haven't identified what your passion is the thing that you would do for free for the rest of your life. And I had this conversation with fourth graders at my school, and I was like, well, what would you do, if you could do something for free for the rest of your life? And there was like a lot of soccer players, a lot of even artists off the bat. And then one kid said, I would sleep, forever. I said, and who am I, to tell him that if that is your passion. And there was a little girl in the back was like, you could be a professional mattress tester. Like that's what she said. And I was like, brilliant, you know what I mean? And whatever that looks like, if that truly was him being silly or if that was truly his passion, I just urge you to identify that and then to talk to people who are in that field and see what that looks like, to be able to maybe turn it into something more than just a talk. Yeah.
What does expression mean to you?
Expression, yeah, it's loaded. It's like love. Expression, to me, the easiest way to describe it is that thing that you're passionate about coming out in its truest form. It doesn't have to be words or necessarily sound, but it could be coming out of you in one way or the other, and that's expression.
And so you work with young people and helping them express themselves through poetry, right?
Right, yeah. And a lot of them are natural poets, just like natural soccer players or natural speakers. But the ones that are natural, I try to harness that a little bit because they're interested and see something in them that someone saw in me when I didn't think I was any good. Yeah.
I'm sure you've come across people who are afraid to express themselves or resistant or anxious. What do you do in those situations?
Right. So we just, I guess the gift I've been given and through meeting a lot of other educators and curators and just lovers of people, we've tried to always create a space, whether I'm teaching a workshop at the school district or hosting an open mic or curating a showcase. Our goal is to create a safe space where there's no judgment of anything, of any sort, and just say, it's not Apollo. We're not going to boo you off the stage if you suck. If this is your first time, even better. If you're reading off a Yoshinoya napkin and it's bloody, that's exactly what we want. So it's just creating a space where someone can open up is huge, and making it safe is 10 times more important.
What kind of blood?
Yeah, blood. Yeah, I don't know. Right bloody. You gotta write. That's what they say.
That was a good detail.
Right.
Well, I feel like we've been teasing people enough. Could you share one of your poems with them?
Of course, yeah. Let's do that.
What's this first one going to be about?
It is a collaboration poem I did for my friend NAK, who's an amazing MC from Chino, California. He put out a project called Ashley Court. It's the name of the street he was raised in.
Nice.
And so, yeah, he's recorded the whole thing there, and the music videos are at his house. And it's just like this whole, where he grew up and where he still lives. And he asked me to, and the whole thing is kind of about identifying yourself as a Filipino American. And you don't have to be Filipino American to appreciate what's going on, because he's a brilliant writer. He involved some amazing people, and he asked me to do it, so I felt honored. So this is that poem.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Have you ever found yourself part of a team that you didn't like? Maybe you didn't even try out. It was just something your mom thought you would like. But she told you not to dress or talk like any of your teammates. Talk about the fastest way to turn into someone your team hates. You already look different. You try to fit in. Without fitting in, you seem fake. But you just become cool with not being cool until not being cool became cool, and here we are. Our parents wanted us to grow up in America. without becoming American. Welcome to being a Filipino kid born in the 80s and raised in the 90s. This pretty much guaranteed you were first generation. Most likely, you could understand the language, but couldn't speak it. Can't cook the food, you just eat it. Sunday Catholic, polo shirt wearing, altar boy passive, Boys to Men and Tribe listening, Saved by the Bell watching, finger rice measuring, soft spoken, dreams broken by your mama's hope for you to become a nurse. So with her fingers crossed and rosary grip prayers, she says anything but an artist. Growing up, I was either the dark Chinese kid or the slanted-eyed Hispanic. These bullies were half savage, half magic. Could make me disappear with one comment about my complex tragic. This constant feeling of wanting to stand out and fit in was a jail that I lived in. This feeling of wanting to be anything because you don't know who you are is like the moon saying, I'm the only one like me, so I'm better off a star. I mean, I'd shine way less, but if I'm the only one that's like me, I can't stand proud, so star it is. And your parents will tell you, being a star is great, son. There's benefits there. Who wants to be a moon? I heard it's all night shifts anyways. But that's no way for a moon to speak. There's a reason we trade our light for ordinary. Becoming a master of fitting in sounds a lot like, okay, master, I'll fit it in. And if you don't know how we were made, we're half conqueror, half rape. In other words, half master, half slave. No wonder there's this dual consciousness within us. We're waiting to see which one surfaces, seeing which one wins the war inside. The only problem is, whether it's the slave or the master, they're both warriors. So be careful which one you let loose. Shh. If you listen closely, you could hear over 4,000 years of submissive silence, of beauty and war between the moon and star living inside of every Filipino. Every immigrant whose mother's slaved barefoot in fields of rice so I could have the freedom to do what I want to do tonight, or for work tomorrow, or for play, or how to spend my money, or how to spend my day. No wonder we're all sneakerheads. They say you always want what your ancestors didn't have. It'd be a disgrace to those barefoot women who fought for my freedom if I didn't chase my passion. So thank you to my Lola's Lola and my Lolo's Lolo for what you did so I can write this poem. And to the kids sitting in the back of the classroom drawing stars instead of moons on math book pages, I feel you, bro. Use this as a map home. Now, create. Thank you.
All right, let's snap it up for that. You like the snaps?
Yeah, that was nice. Old school. Bring back the old school.
I hurt my wrist in hockey yesterday, so I didn't know if I'd be able to snap. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you played hockey.
Yeah, I played it since I was like 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So talk to me about that poem. Where did that come from? That felt very personal.
Yeah, so I think it was. He asked me to be vulnerable and asked me... I don't write a lot of poems about identity or being Filipino, so I think that writing this kind of even brought up some things about myself that I didn't even know, which happens a lot in writing, I think.
Yeah.
You're writing and you're like, oh, like that did something, or, you know. And it seems to be the type of poems that I get the most response from, and a lot from the Filipino community, which I wasn't raised around. But if it's like a video that someone posts or someone reads it, and I just had someone walk up to me the other day that actually heard it, that I never met, and was like, I heard your poem, and he's half Filipino, half Jewish, and he was like, yeah, it's exactly, you know, my struggle, and it's what I dealt with, and yeah, so that's where it came from.
What do you think people are connecting with?
That this cosmic identity crisis that we have, like trying to fit in a place that maybe we weren't necessarily created to fit into, and that constantly is trying to teach you how to be and how to live and how to look and how to speak, and especially being a first generation, so you're dealing with not only your parents bringing you here, and then now you're dealing with your own feelings of am I supposed to be like my parents? Am I supposed to be like this new place that they brought me? And there's this struggle that you don't deal with until you're older, because when you're a kid, you just in the present, you're living in the moment. So as an adult, I get to reflect and talk about it a bit. Yeah.
You were saying you discovered some things while writing the poem. Do you mind sharing what were some of the things you discovered?
Yeah, I had to do like a little bit of research, I guess, not a huge research, but maybe how long it was, for example, since the Philippines was conquered. It was and the fact that we were products of rape, and why I have a Spanish last name, but and why some of us look more Hispanic, and some of us look more Asian, and some of us don't look any kind of islander, or so all these things, just exploring those crevices that maybe I didn't care to explore or talk about. You don't ever think like, oh, my ancestors were raped and there was like a bunch of Chinese and the Spanish raped them, and they made a whole culture and called it something, and then now we're a product of that. And the oppression, there's like a line that's like 4,000 years of submissive silence, just just listening, just letting that resonate, and think that there was 4,000 years of ancestry of people who fought so that I can, sit in this room and with lights and a camera and with you and have friends that aren't slaves, so it was awesome. It was cool.
That's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
And for the record, this is natural lighting.
So there's like you can't see it, but there's like a sunroof. Yeah,
just perfectly shining on us, and it doesn't change the whole thing.
Nothing. Yeah.
There's a line you said something about we all just want to do what our ancestors couldn't.
Oh yeah, so I guess that was more wordplay. It was that I said, no wonder we're all sneakerheads. Number one, playing on the fact that every Filipino I know loves shoes. Yeah, it's like I don't know where that came from, but you won't meet one that doesn't have a bit of a shoe collection. And so the line was, no wonder we're all sneakerheads. We all wanted. They say you always want what your ancestors didn't have, and so it was kind of the play on them not having shoes and being barefoot in rice fields, and that's where that line came from.
During the poem, I felt like I sensed a lot of tension of, I don't know if it's guilt or this tension of pursuing my dreams or going for the safe bet, like being a nurse or something like that. Right. Was I reading that correctly?
Yeah, so that was right on. The Filipino community also known for being nurses, because there's a huge trade out there, and a lot of people from the Philippines, since it's a lot cheaper to do nursing school there, go do nursing school and then come here because it's more money and there's a demand for it. And so your parents and a lot of my aunts and a lot of my uncles and even my dad, and just in the medical field, and so they stressed me to be in the medical field and consider it at least. And the one thing they didn't want me to become wasn't maybe an artist. Yeah, so I don't know whose parent wants them to be an artist, but it wasn't my parents. And yeah, there's that for sure, that struggle. A lot of Filipinos deal with that, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people listening might relate to this of, like we were talking about, you have a passion.
Yeah.
Do you pursue that, or do you conform and go for the job security or what everybody is going to say, I'm proud of my kid for doing that, or do you kind of do your own thing? So how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I'm still navigating through that, and because it's like part of you is like, leave nothing, like just into the wild kind of, like like just be a full-blown artist. And it's live on Venice Beach and just don't save anything, like that kind of thing. And you start realizing, I have like a wife who doesn't want to live in a box, and who potentially wants kids, and I like to sleep in a bed, and like these things, so you're like, there has to be some balance, and then finding a way to still live with that kind of gung-ho passion where you don't leave anything. You could leave it on the stage, maybe don't leave life. Just trying to find that what that looks like, and talking through that in your brain. So.
Do you mind sharing with us at all what it sounds like when you talk through it in your brain?
Yeah. So it's like, all right, let's line up what's important, and is this show more important, or do I need to make money today? Because I have 2 jobs, and I work for CarMax and the school district, and it's like, and then I have these opportunities. They're like, we want to fly you to this place, and sometimes the flight is the only thing that's covered, and then they would ask you to find a way to make money while you're there, or they'll say it's a local gig, and they're like, it's going to be free, but it's going to be a good cause, and that this is a good chance. So you're just trying to weigh that out. And then sometimes the shows are more lucrative than my work, and that's easy, because it's like there's $1,500 a check waiting for me at this show, and I'm only going to make $300 at my job today, that kind of thing. Yeah. So So if it was all like that, then it would be very easy. So if you have any gigs, yeah, right. So yeah, that's a little bit how it sounds.
Have you ever come close to walking away
from art?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say so. It's just that it's more therapy for me than it is like necessity or want. It's not like, I need this. I less do it for me now more than ever, and it's more like, I need to write because my brain's cloudy and I don't need the recognition. I don't crave that or the followers or whatever. But I know people that do, and that's kind of that is a jail. It's like you're constantly chasing something that you may never be satisfied with, and I never wanted that. And I have plenty of other important things to think about. Yeah.
Reminds me of the question you asked the kids in the beginning. What would you do for free?
Right. Yeah. What would you do for free? And I use this for that. And there's people that are like, oh, you could make way more money if you did this, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, if I did it for money, then I would do those things. But the fact that they might take away from the therapy of it, So, yeah.
Do you ever, and this might just be me projecting my own thoughts, do you ever think like long-term, like legacy?
Yeah, and I think that legacy imagery is like the kind of thing that people are chasing that I'm trying to avoid, And I'd never been a legend or, know any legends. I know people who are doing very well, even in this art. But like, even then, I the common thing I see in them is that they just do what they love, and then the thing happens, then the cherry on top, then the legend happens, The people that I feel like are trapped or have a hard time finding that feeling of adequacy or success are the people who are people pleasing and make sure they look and dress a certain way and talk the way they have to get the shows they want, which is all good because it's part of the business, and that's not knocking them, but it's not how it's going to go down for me. Yeah.
So you can't necessarily have, when you want to be a legend, and that's the number one priority, you get trapped. But when you just love the art, and then you become a legend by byproduct.
Byproduct, yeah. That's what I think. That's how if it were to happen, how it will happen. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, in anybody's world that you have a legacy already?
I may, yeah. I get some cool emails and Facebook messages and stuff about how my art helped them and changed them and inspired them, and I appreciate those. Keep those coming. But yeah, I mean, in that sense, maybe it is already happening.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, would you mind sharing another poem with us?
Let's do it.
Which poem are you going to do?
This one is called the Red String Poem. And yes, enjoy.
Enjoy. Here we go.
So the other day I met this guy at Starbucks. The green in his eyes reminded me of these emeralds I saw in this girl's loud earrings I met in Philadelphia on a bumpy plane ride back to Cali, and the wrinkles in her hands. They reminded me of the loose skin on my grandma's bum Filipino knees, and every time her shaky hands would grip her walker, it would remind me of everything broken but still willing to try, like my parents' relationship. And my parents, they remind me of me for obvious reasons, like I have my mother's teeth and my dad's bad jokes, but more because I'm convinced I was supposed to meet those two people in my lifetime, and God just made it like super easy, right? See, in Chinese myth, the gods tied red strings around our ankles, connecting us to all the people in this life we were destined to meet. Though sometimes these strings tangle, they never break. Maybe every time I use the phrase, well, I thought I was falling in love, was us really just tripping over someone else's string. Or every time I say I'm too busy, I'm all tied up, maybe it's because we were all tied up. See, I don't believe in coincidences. The word coincidence, it comes from the mathematical term to coincide. When two angles coincide, they are perfect for one another. So couldn't a coincidence be nothing less than two events lining up perfectly in your favor, no matter how messed up the situation? Maybe this is exactly where you need to be. What if every time we shook someone's hand, we didn't say, nice to meet you, we said, finally? What if we treated every person like a dot on a map to every place in this world we ever needed to go? We'd have less questions, more realizations, less God wise, and more thank you for the blessings. This is not an accident. You are not an accident. For example, I cannot leave my house without my 5-year-old niece giving me the secret handshake. If you've never saw it, it looks like this. Spirit fingers blow it up, let it rain. That's the same handshake I learned from this guy at my dad's friend's house that wasn't related to anybody. And to this day, his laugh reminds me of the squeak on my bike I got for free from my uncle who said he couldn't write anymore because his knees, they feel like jello. And I hate jello because my aunt, she once told me jello was made from horse bones. Coincidentally, the first horse I ever rode was named Bones. And he had this green saddle. The same exact green of this guy's eyes met at Starbucks the other day in the green. And his eyes remind me of these emeralds I saw in this girl's loud earrings I met in Philadelphia on a bumpy plane ride back to Cali, and the wrinkles. You know, the wrinkles in her hands. Thank you.
All right, let's snap it up. I like snapping up for your own poem.
Yeah. You gotta, if you don't like your stuff.
Yeah.
Who can?
What do you mean?
If I don't like it, then, you know, I gotta at least like the stuff. So I could snap for my own poems.
You like your own poems?
Yeah, I like my own poems. You like your own poems?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel it when you're writing, like, oh, yeah?
Right, you should feel that. I tell my students, like, you have to, like if you're not, like, busting up when you wrote it, like, then it's, you know, probably no one's gonna bust up if you're writing a funny poem, you know? If you're not crying when you wrote it, then why should anybody expect to cry when they listen to it? I don't know. This logically makes sense to me.
It's got to be true to you first.
Right.
I dig that.
Yes.
This poem's epic. I mean, I've listened to this poem. I have your album. I've listened to it probably like 50 times.
Cool.
So
that means a lot. Thank you.
What was the process? It feels like when you were writing it, you knew, okay, this is gonna be one of those poems.
I don't know if that was a feeling or that's ever the feeling, but it was more like I wanted to have a full circle kind of feeling, and somebody told me about that red string myth, legend or Chinese myth, and it kind of resonated. And then oddly enough, I saw this picture of this like guy in this operating room that was like connected by these red strings to everybody like that was in the operating room.
Wow.
And it was like a visual, and it was, I don't know, it just made sense to me that we don't meet people by accident, and there are no accidents. I mean, even the people that hurt me or that I hate are still people that taught me, you know. So
what do you mean?
Yeah, you know, people that aren't happy thoughts in my mind, you know, like bullies or ex-girlfriends or any of these things. They're like, they still, you know, taught you something. They weren't wasted, you know. So unless you chose to waste them, but I think that there's no accidents or no coincidence. I really believe in the poem and that there are no coincidences.
How'd you get to that philosophy? Because that's a deep one. Just think, even hard things or even hurtful things in life is a worthwhile lesson. How'd you get there?
Yeah, and that could have something to do with my faith and Scripture saying, you know, God works all things together for good, and that's one of those. I think when I see the word "all" in the Bible, I take it as all, you know, like if all things are being strung together for good right now, then all things were designed. And do we get to see the outcome of all these things? No. Are there people dying right now and we don't get to see why? And all, you know, so there's those questions. But as far as like people, even the more I pay attention to why people are in my life, I start that kind of thinking makes me more intentional with my relationships, and whether it's true or not, it helps me to see purpose in relationships, and why I met you, for example, or, you know, why 10 years later we're sitting in your house doing, you know, there was a purpose. Part of your presence was inspiration to me doing something, and maybe, who knows, is somebody's writing poems all over the world because of what you're doing, and they didn't meet you by accident or watch your podcast by accident. So it's a continuous like chain of us working together, you know. Like the most beautiful, I think, metaphor in the whole Bible is like that we're a body, you know, we're God's body. So if you think like some of us are fingers, hands, ears, that we're strung together by this fiber, that we are representative of a larger, one larger purpose, one larger body. I don't know. It could go on forever.
About what?
About how we're all connected, you know. It feels that way. So fogging up. Okay. It's this natural light.
It's the passion.
It's the passion.
Sounds like your faith's important to you.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
What's your faith journey been like?
It's crazy. Like raised super Catholic. I was in the first poem, you guys heard. And then I almost became a priest, which is crazy.
Catholic priest?
Catholic priest. Yeah, I was like an altar boy, like all through growing up. Almost became a Catholic priest. Long story short, took me to a monastery school or a seminary school.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Wow, so like really gonna join?
Yeah, I was like about it. I prayed about it. And I was like, all right, so where you want me? I was pretty gung-ho about it. Went to the school for like a month. This is like a trial. And met this awesome guy named Paul out there. Might changed my life. And
what was his name?
Paul.
Paul, okay.
He let me stay in his space. He slept in the closet while he gave me his bed. He was like, I was like a, I don't know, sacrifice he made. And he taught me, I was like, dude, there's so much I don't know about the Catholic faith. I'm about to become a priest. Could you like put me up?
He's a priest?
He was studying to be a
priest.
priest.
Okay, got you.
And he was like, hey, this is X, Y, and Z. Like, why do we do this? Why do we take this? Why do we, and I was like, man, based on what you're saying, I don't know if I've even met a Catholic yet, like, I don't know if I'm Catholic anymore. I don't know if my mom's Catholic or my priest is Catholic. So I would love to explore that. So I went back and my priest was like, oh, how was it? You ready to become a priest? And I was like, I don't even think I'm Catholic anymore. And so that started like a pretty extravagant, yeah. I was like,
what was their reaction when you said that?
They're like, what? Who'd you talk to? Let's like kill whoever you talk to. But it was awesome, and it was just started a really cool journey. I was going to like Baptist churches and monasteries, and I remember went to like Buddhist temples and mosques, and studied other like Kabbalah and wisdoms and just different things that other people studied. Just wanted to learn everything because I wanted to be my choice. My parents raised me Catholic, and eventually still found myself just like the Catholic faith, reading the Bible, and I don't go to Catholic church anymore, but I still have a huge relationship with God. Still pray every day. I go to a non-denominational church, and yeah, it's very important. It kind of governs my decisions still. Yeah.
What do you think that passion to become a priest? Where do you think that how do you think that's manifested?
I don't know if that's manifested into anything significant, but I think that passion that you're talking about, that willingness to like jump, to cross the point of no return, if you say,
yeah,
is something that I learned that has to happen if you want anything like extraordinary to happen in your life. Like there's like God puts this line and is like, all right, cross that and I'll be there. And he was, was it in priesthood? No, but he was definitely there in the conversation. But we needed to say yes and step into that. There's so many people that get to that line. And there was a pastor named Pastor Irwin from Mosaic in Hollywood. He spoke last Sunday, and he was saying like, some people get to that line and they stop. And they're like, oh, I want to open up open mic, online open mic so bad. And like, nah, because there's no natural lighting and there's no like, everything's against them. And they're like, if they were to just jump and like cross the line, then there's something on the other side for you, and God said I'll meet you there. And but so many people that I meet stop, and I feel like part of our job as artists is to say like, no, it's like, no, there's plenty for you there, on the other side of that. It might not look like that life, and there might be some people that you might have to get rid of because they're heavy, they're weighing you down. But yeah.
So it's our job as artists to help people get across that line?
I think so, yeah. I think it's to express something that they can't express themselves, or their soul's been longing to hear, or see, or feel. And then with that inspiration, they take it and they go, okay, like, I'll take a little step. Maybe not both legs, but I'll take, one leg past the line. So it helps.
Correct me if I'm hearing you wrong. What I'm hearing then is that there's a spiritual responsibility of an artist.
Absolutely. I think there is. I think there's a lot more than spiritual responsibility. I think that's a loaded question, but it's like, as artists, if we don't take the responsibility that you're going to have influence, if your influence is not is taken lightly, then what you're doing is might be causing more chaos than good. And I think art is like magic. It's this thing that people get to see and say, wow, I want to do that or be that. But imagine if I saw, Gucci Mane and was like, oh, I really want to be Gucci Mane. I'd be a different person right now, but instead I saw this like amazing artist on Night at the Apollo, and I was like, I'd rather be that, or I'd want to be that. But like, art comes with responsibility, huge, spiritually and physically, mentally. You're taking something very, I think, spiritual and lifting it up into the universe, and asking people to respond, whether you are physically asking or not. To answer your question, yes. It's very spiritual.
I love where this has gone.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
It reminds me, I feel like we're kind of talking a little bit about, with the line, about faith.
Yeah, it could be that too, yeah.
I've heard this quote that says something like, faith is when you get to the edge of the cliff and you walk off. Faith is knowing that either you'll fly or something will catch you. And that's where you were saying, like, go across the line and there will be something there for you.
Right.
I feel like it's faith that you have to go across that line.
Right. There's like, that is definitely part of it. Accompanied by faith, I think there has to be some like responsiveness to fear. Yeah. Because I don't think faith and fear are like opposites or something like that. Like it's more like, all right, get brave real quick, and then have faith. You know, like it's like they're like cousins. Like they know each other. You know, yeah.
That's deep. You're the second person I heard say that faith and fear are related. I've heard Tony Robbins says that they're the same thing. It's just that faith is fear guided.
Wow.
That you just harness your fear and you guide it.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah, so the
That's
second
dope.
person I heard say that. And I think it's true that they do have a unique relationship to one another.
They do.
Woo!
That's awesome. Woo.
Well, let's layer upon layer of deepness by diving into another poem.
Yeah, let's do that.
Which one are you about to do?
This is the last poem, and this is an old poem. It's called, I don't know if it necessarily has a name, but people call it To the One That's Not From Here, or You Don't Belong Here, and it's this one. So enjoy this one.
Let's do it.
Yeah. My mother, she used to hate when I jumped on the bed, especially because I had this old mattress with the spring sticking out. It was dangerous, she said. But I remember being 6 years old and her walking in mid-jump. And she says something like, if you don't stop jumping on the freaking bed, one day you're going to jump so high you're going to get stuck. And I said, I hope I get stuck so I don't have to live here. And she says, oh, you want to live here? Then leave. So I blew in my thumb, popped up my 2 fingers and said, peace, Mom. Okay, maybe that's not exactly how it happened, but I did leave. I moved into a spacious 1-bedroom tent right next to my bed, made of a Little Mermaid blanket and a He-Man sleeping bag, and instead of a light switch, had this little plastic flashlight which lit up my safe place, and I was home. They say home is where your heart is. And my heart was definitely there, but not in the shape of a heart, more in the shape of this little brown teddy bear that I held onto like we were the last 2 survivors of the Titanic, and he just saved my life, yeah. Even my dad said it was weird, but looking back on it now, I started looking deeper at how at 6 years old, me moving into a tent was like running away. Me jumping on the bed knowing I might get stuck was the way a 6-year-old poet would pray that I would not only jump high enough to get stuck, but maybe God would catch me and hold me there because he knew I didn't belong here. And the teddy bear was, well, just a teddy bear. But the main reason I never jumped as high as I could because I didn't want to leave him here. And we all have a teddy bear somewhere down here, a little piece of earth that's stopping us from seeing our heaven. And 2 decades later, I still don't feel I belong. So randomly, you'll catch me jumping as high as I can at bus stops or grocery stores or in the middle of my lawn. And sometimes I'll even take it back old school when no one's at home. And I'll jump on my own bed for old time's sake or for good luck, hoping and praying with my whole body I finally jump high enough and get stuck and maybe catch myself in a real city of angels, not some fake town where fake thugs turn real thugs, turn shoes on telephone cables. I've never been, but I imagine skydiving to be a lot like slam poetry. Like, you don't really know if you have it in you until you're standing at the edge of the platform, looking into an ocean of your deepest insecurities and fears. And like skydiving, this isn't made for everybody, it's clear, but you don't have to triple dog dare me, dog. I've never been afraid to jump or fall. I've never been afraid of danger, so I close my eyes and I leap 3 minutes at a time, hoping to convince perfect strangers that I really don't belong here. Peace.
All right. Snaps. We already know. Spirit hands. That was dope.
Thank you.
What's funny?
Yeah, this order. It's just learning. Yeah, thank you. I just never comment stuff dope. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Dope's a new...
No, I love dope. I use dope often. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. We kept talking about lines and stepping over lines, and then you have that poem in here about, you know, it's like standing at that line of jumping out of a plane. So that was interesting how it all kind of synchronized like that.
That's weird. It worked out. It's almost like we planned this. Yeah.
And earlier you said, I love laying in beds.
Right.
Clearly you love jumping on them too.
Right.
Do you really jump on beds still as an adult?
Haven't in a while, but I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Yeah.
Talk to me about talk about insecurities during this poem. Insecurities of being a writer, of sharing your poems, unless I misheard.
I think more of it was like the sense of not being from a place or not feeling like you're from here. Not less like insecurities, because I think there's that part where I talk about like there's a teddy bear, and we all have a teddy bear somewhere down here. It's a little piece of earth that's stopping us from seeing our heaven. So like this idea that we all have something that's stopping us from crossing this line, kind of thing, that's holding us back, and that might mean something to everybody or different something for everybody. But yeah, like less insecurities and more of that. Yeah.
What do you mean by not from here?
Well, I think originally the poem was made. There's like a verse in the Bible says like God knew us before we were in our mother's womb. It's in Jeremiah, I think, and it's so there's like all this very theological debate, you know. So it's like saying like did we exist before God created us in the womb, or the other thing is like if I was like an artist of strawberries, let's say, and I say I knew that after I get done with this, it's going to be a strawberry, you know? And it's like, did God know us? Did he know of us and know our what we were going to be before we were in our mother's womb? So some people are saying, yeah, we existed. Some people are saying, no, he created us and that's how he knew us. Anyhow, I don't know necessarily, I don't care to debate that, but it's like more like I wrote this from the view of like, yeah, I've been to heaven before. Now I know I'm not from here. So there's all these feelings of not being from here that make me feel like, oh, like jumping on the bed knowing I might get stuck was like the way I would pray to take me back, kind of thing. Or like saying like hoping I land on my feet or on my street or anywhere that feels familiar when I parachute back to heaven, kind of thing. Yeah, so that was more the premise of it. Pretty simple.
So not from here, not necessarily in like my identity, but more as like a spirit. Like,
maybe my spirit's not from here, and then we're trying to like constantly fit in a place that we're not from, and we're trying to, and then we figure out that that's why, you know, like why would we fit in, you know, we're like this square peg trying to fit in this triangle kind of thing.
And the square peg is the spirit.
Yeah.
Then what's the triangle?
That maybe like the world.
The world?
Yeah.
Why is it hard for us spiritually to fit into this world?
I think like we were discussing earlier, like we're so force-fed like these images that I think that the world created, and I'm completely victim to it, you know. I look and dress and talk the way the world does, and then you start learning the things that are important, and you're like, oh, like there's some pull, there's some difference to what the world's saying is important to what my spirit is saying is important. You know? So I think it's more that, like, not feeling like this isn't where I should be here, or what I should focus my attention on. Yeah.
The world sounds abstract. Do you mind making it a little more tangible? What's the world? The world tells us, or the world created. What is that?
Right. So I think worldly, or, you know, that sounds real like Baptist church, like the worldly. The world, like when I say the world, I guess I'm saying like mainstream media, and I'm from California, so that could be part of my bubble of the world, and LA, and like the stream. Like when I hear mainstream, I actually think of it like a stream, like the way the fish are going, you know. So like us all jumping in, like, oh, there's a stream, let's follow that. I think that's what I talk about when I mean the world, and me not wanting to be part of the stream, or would take me having to identify what not living in the stream would look like. and why that's bad for me, or why I don't feel like I'm part of it. Yeah, so there's always been this like weird pull, minus the identity thing, minus the look different thing, minus the fact there's nobody that looks like me when we're growing up, those kind of things. But the other part of it is like, man, I do a lot of things that I feel like my spirit doesn't agree with, and I still do it because I'm getting pulled this certain direction from the world or the stream. Yeah,
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. Yeah.
How do you align that when you're feeling like my spirit's being pulled in a direction? I'm doing things that I don't resonate with. How do you then get back to that place of
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think what I've found is that love and art are also connected. And when you start loving people and loving art or connecting to art, that fixes that thing for me in a weird way. It's like all this, there's a lot of parts that aren't going to connect because it's like, oh, he's a deep thinker without connecting these two. But there's like a part of like just saying like stepping into love and agreeing to love people, regardless if they hurt you or regardless if you don't like that type of people or you're racist at one time or genderist or whatever the case may be. If you decide to say, all right, I love people and I'm gonna love that person because no one else does, it seems to fix that weird feeling of not fitting in, because it's almost like you were designed to love. Yeah, like we were designed to do, like when you connect to your design, then it's like the not feeling like you fit in goes away,
That's powerful.
Like, yeah, I think so. Felt powerful.
It kind of reminds me of our conversation with the red string and the connectedness. And
Right.
there's coincidences, but no such thing as a coincidence. Kind of what you're talking about earlier.
Right, I agree, and I think that you're loving these people from a distance. Like you connected your art to love in almost the exact same way. Like I love these people so much. I want to give them my art, and I want to bring them good art and artists, and these people, like you said, are watching it all over the world. And you're like, I'm loving you from here, and you're watching it in Africa, and I love you so much that I want to give you this thing. I want to take my time and imagine if you were feeling inadequate that day, and this could take that away, really, this act of love and sharing. So yeah.
You nailed it. I mean, that's my intention. When you were saying like the fame and the likes, and I always just say, if I just want this to do that for one person, just one person,
and you're loving on that person hard.
Yes.
Yeah, he's loving on you. So just so you know, this is not like him just like, I want to be Tom Earl, the guy that did. No, like it's like, I love you so much, I want to give you this. And that's what it turned into. That's what my art turned into, because it did start as, I want people to know me, I'm dope, and then you're like, nope, that's the world talking again, and that's the stream that they want you to believe. And if there is an enemy, that's what he wants you to believe. And it's more than that. Like the love is what unites us, and you're gonna hear it from the most hippiest of people. But the truth is, when you start loving all people, like your life changes. So yeah,
that's
the
awesome.
message.
Well, I think that's a wonderful place to wrap up, because we had the deepness, but you got some tangible things you can put into your life.
Yeah.
And when you're feeling misaligned, just start loving people.
Right.
If people want to love on you, where can they find you? Where can they tell you how much they appreciate you? Where can they see you live? All those things.
Cool. I have a website, and it is, like I said, my name is SuperB or SuperB. So you go superbpoetry.com. All my social media links are there, and videos, pictures, ways to get a hold of me, whatever, phone numbers on there. I don't care. My number's out there, and my personal email. So yeah, if you need to get a hold of me, superbpoetry.com, superbpoetry.com, and then that's it.
What about live? Don't you have a show?
Yes, we started a new show. It's low grown and sexy. There's it's at the Flyway at the Fox Theater in Pomona, the rooftop bar there and at the Fox Theater. And it's a beautiful space. We try to do like a speakeasy vibe, so we all dress up and play the part, and we bring out 4 artists. Normally it's 2 musicians or bands, and then an MC, and then a poet. So usually we start about 7:30, and it's $5 if you're in the area. Come out and I'm the host, along with my brother MC Prototype, and then we have the dopest DJ Nicky Boy, and yeah, craft cocktails, all that. Come out, dress up, look good, have fun. Hey.
And as you know, since SuperB is our feature for this interview, that means he's the feature for this month's live and online expression, which is going to be Sunday, October 15th, and it's going to be at noon Pacific Standard Time, which means noon if you're on the West Coast, 2 p.m. if you're in the Midwest, let's say Chicago or Milwaukee, 3 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, let's say New York or Florida, 8 p.m. if you're somewhere like London or Nigeria. So it's going to be live and online. You can attend anywhere in the world through your phone, calling in, using video. It's amazing, and the whole writing workshop will culminate with a featured performance by SuperB over here. So please join us. You can check that all out. Up here, we've had the show notes the whole time, tommerl.com/SuperB, or you can always register at tommerl.com/events. So this has been amazing. Yes, indeed. Any last words you want to share before we sign off?
No, thank you for having me. Come out to the writing workshop. We love you. Love on someone today. God bless you guys.
God bless. Peace and blessings. Thank you.